Hello, hello. Happy Monday. Happy Monday, everyone. This is the first session of a series called Hi. So this is the first session in the Mothering and Matrescence Mondays. So this is a series I've started. It's starting today. It's going to last for the whole of March and April. So every Monday, I'm going to have a different guest coming and joining me to talk about different challenges that we experience as we become mothers. And I believe that if we had more information when we became mothers and more support, our experience during matrescence will be better. And so that's why I created this space to talk about all the topics that are recurrent amongst many women, many challenges that are very common that we only find about when we become mothers. So it's just to shed a light a little bit of what it really means to become a mother and what are some of the challenges that we may experience in this journey. So every Monday we have a different topic, and today we've got with us, we have joining me Sally Ricard. She is a lactation consultant and she provides support with their home visits and doing infant plans and helping families to get off on a good start on breastfeeding and supporting them through different challenges that they might face on their journey. And so I have her joining me now, so I'm just going to request her to join us. So, hi Sally. So you're going to have an invite, a request coming to you now. Let's see if the technology is on side. Yay!
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me okay? I'm using my headphone.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. I
Great.
was trying to do it with the headphones because I'm running around between home visits today. So
Okay.
I'm actually in Bermondsey in a hotel
Oh,
meeting
nice.
with.
Okay. That's great. Well, thank you for making the time to joining me today.
Hey, you're
I
really
think
welcome.
it's great to have you here. This is the first time I do this series, so I'm very excited about it. And I believe that we just, there's so many things that we face when we become mothers that are new to us, that it's just like we come to this new world. And if we just had a little bit of more support and a little bit of more information about what we're gonna face in this journey, I think it would just put a little bit of weight off our shoulders and just make us feel a bit more supported. And I think breastfeeding is the challenge
Yes.
when we become mother, or for some moms at least. But this is the first, I guess, the first thing that we get to need to learn as we become mothers, right?
Yeah.
And it can be quite challenging for some women.
Yeah, and it's so hard to learn something brand new when very possibly you've not slept for 2 days or something, when you actually first have to master this new skill. And it's such a challenge for people. Yeah.
And it's not just any skill. I mean, it's their skill to keep your baby alive, right?
Exactly. It's
So
a lot of pressure on your shoulders.
it's a lot of pressure, yeah. So just to put just some context of what a lactation consultant does, because when I became a mom, I didn't know there was such a thing as lactation consultants. And I think if we start with there, what do you do as a lactation consultant?
Yeah, so this is actually one of the challenges. There's a local mum who did my website for me, and she was asking me, so what are your keywords? What are people going to Google when they want your services? And I was thinking, they need to Google IBCLC, which no parent anywhere at 3 o'clock in the morning knows what that is. And so it's like from breastfeeding support to lactation consultant to breastfeeding counselor to what is the right word. And of course, when you have your baby, you really are looking at the midwives to be the expert in the room. but unfortunately midwives don't have a lot of training in breastfeeding, most of them.
Of course.
So lactation consultant is super niche. It's you have to do a series of exams and short courses, and you have to log 1,000 hours of helping mothers face to face.
Wow.
So yeah, and so that's really where I feel like that is the most useful part of the training. And I did mine in the community, working with Breastfeeding Network Lambeth. I was volunteering for them in the local children's centres. And I also did it running my own breastfeeding cafe and some on the postnatal ward at the local hospital, which is really valuable use, and in the tongue tie clinic. So you get all these different ages and stages of babies and meet all different parents from all different backgrounds. And that was the training. And then, as you say, lactation consultant, the vast majority of my work is people calling me and saying, can you come tomorrow or the next day?
Help.
And then cycling across southeast London to go see, like, go Brixton one day and Dulwich in the afternoon, and then go down to Crystal Palace, and up today I'm in Bermondsey, just dipping around for someone who can really sit with you for as long as it takes, like sit with you on your bed or your sofa and your particular baby, and really take time to chat about what's been happening, how you feel about it, what are your breastfeeding goals, what can we do to make it more comfortable. So that's what I do.
Wow, that is, it just brings me back so many memories of my own experience.
And
it's just those, I think a little bit, it's a bit of a therapist job as well.
It is.
Because I remember the first time when I had my first baby, I was struggling her to latch, and then when she was latching, she was falling asleep, and I was constantly, because I was in the hospital for 5 days. I was constantly bossing the midwives to come and help me every time she fed, because I felt so insecure. I felt like it should be, it came to me like a shock to feel that it's not that simple. I thought, breastfeeding is natural. We all do it. It's surely just going to put my baby and that's it. And wow.
It's a shame as well, because in theory, yes, it should be normal and natural, but it's very common to find challenges. And as you say, that's like the therapy side of it, or the mental side of it, is coming to terms with the fact that you thought it would be easy and it hasn't been easy. And feeling like it should be natural and there must be something wrong with you if it's not coming easily. And the first training I did, with Breastfeeding Network, was actually, it's called Breastfeeding Counselor. It's literally all about reflective listening and things like that. Just it's those people skills that are the most important.
Yes, of course, because you also, you are working with moms who are in a very vulnerable position, right? And depends on how the birth was, then there might be even some trauma from birth.
And it's a super hard time to absorb any information.
Of course. So what is kind of the biggest challenges that you think, or most common challenges that you help people with?
So tongue tie is a big question, although I think a lot more parents present thinking that their concern is around tongue tie than is. So that's one, assessing tongue tie and suggesting what to do about potential tongue ties or finding ways to work with it. Non-latching babies, which is really common, and it's a really big surprise for parents when their baby just won't latch. So trying to get non-latching babies latching, particular skill of mine. And then other really common things is like super sleepy babies, or babies who've had difficult deliveries, forceps, planned cesareans, jaundice, and they're just too sleepy to do it. They just need loads of encouragement.
Yes.
Part of that is often not actually necessarily getting the baby to feed directly at the breast, but just really reassuring parents that they can take time to protect their milk supply and wait and give the baby time and feed them another way, building a bridge to get where you want to be.
That's so interesting that you said that, because actually never actually got that information like that, and I thought it was just my baby that was sleepy. And actually I remember having a lot of pressure from midwives in the hospital, and then afterwards with health visitors, to there's a lot of pressure on the weight, that, you know, how much weight are you putting or not
Yeah.
putting. And there's a lot of anxiety kind of passed on to women, and about, you need to put weight on, the baby needs to put weight on, and you need to feed every 3 hours. And I was waking up my baby every 3 hours to feed when she was sleepy and she would not feed. But actually, my baby was like nearly like 9 pounds. So
Oh, bless.
she was big. And and then afterwards, in hindsight, and then after having my second one, which was also
Yeah.
9 pounds, I thought, actually, I didn't need to be that anxious about, you know, feeding her every 3 hours and waking her up to feed. And so I wonder what your thoughts are about, you know, that pressure that we received and that focus on the weight and all that.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I mean, the weight is there for a reason. The monitoring
Mm.
weight gain is there for a reason. And in a situation where midwives and health visitors don't have enough time, maybe not enough training or expertise to really take time to figure out a bespoke situation, then it's quite common to end up having to take your baby back to the clinic to get weighed, sometimes every 48 hours.
Mm.
And many perhaps families tell me that they feel that there's somebody saying, well, that's not enough weight, they need to weigh more. That's not enough, they need to weigh more, but without the background support. So,
Yes.
yeah, it's a shame that there's just not more time and resources for the staff to really
Mm.
help you. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
weight is there for a reason, but as you say, it depends. And also the waking up babies to weigh them, sometimes it's counterproductive, sometimes
Yeah.
it's necessary. And it's
Yeah.
also something that very commonly parents are told to do, that as they leave the postnatal wards, like make sure they feed every 3 hours. And then you meet them weeks later and they're still setting an alarm for every 3 hours, because nobody at any stage says you don't have to do that anymore. The plan has changed.
Yeah.
Like you could...
And then someone told me afterwards that, actually, you're feeding her too much.
Oh no.
Come on.
Yeah, you get completely contrary advice with different people telling you different things.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
then I guess it's a question about how much, um how much, you know, where do you find the support, or when do you start, like, you just trusting a little bit your intuition and yourself,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
it's hard to find that balance, right?
Yes. And I think especially we're in a society commonly, I mean, obviously you and I speaking from London, where a lot of people are quite unfamiliar with normal baby behaviour. And even a
Yes.
step further, completely unfamiliar with breastfed baby behaviour. Whereas a lot of formula fed babies will more likely maybe take a big feed and sleep for 3 hours and be more
Hmm.
happy to lie down independently and then go again 4 hours later or something. And we're not really that familiar with breastfed babies. We've reached a stage where many of us, our mother and our grandma before us, formula fed.
Yeah.
So that's a really big challenge of just knowing what to expect and knowing what's normal. And that makes it quite hard, I think, to trust your instincts.
Yeah.
It does come in time. And when you are, for instance, on the postnatal ward, it's often common that there's a lot of staff who are really busy and they all try their best for 5 minutes and they tell you sometimes quite different things. So that makes
Mm.
it even more.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you're faced with that, that just so emotional, so many emotions mixed with the breastfeeding. So you come from that, in my experience, I went from that feeling of feeling like anxious about it, you know, feeding and weight and everything, and then I was like moving into feeling guilty because didn't want to breastfeed my baby all the time, and my
Oh,
baby wanted to
Jazmin.
breastfeed all the time,
Yeah.
and so much that comes on the emotional side of the mother.
Yes. And that's sometimes unexpected as well, isn't it?
It's very unexpected. Yeah.
I have a client I was speaking with about a month ago, actually, and we had this. I was doing another visit with her, and we were chatting to see how things were going. And she was working really hard to build milk supply. She was feeding
Mm.
her baby and also pumping and giving bottles, which is
Wow.
very hard work and quite unsustainable. And
Yeah.
then she gave me this monologue, and it literally was like all came out. I think then maybe I should just formula feed some of this instead of all the pumping, because I don't know if I can be bothered with the pumping, and it's just all consuming. But then if I don't do it, like, is that something I could be doing for my child that I'm not doing it? And does that make me a less bad mother? Because I wonder if my own mother is kind of judging me for this. And it's 5 minutes
Wow.
later. It's so
Yeah.
difficult, isn't it? It's really challenging. And I was,
Yeah.
it's all not just the technicalities of how to get the breastfeeding working for you, but all your thoughts and feelings around what's the identity, if you do it or don't do it well. Very,
Yeah.
and it's a very personal thing. People
Of
have
course.
different.
And exactly that's what you said. It's such a personal thing. And I think we live in a system that is so focused on the functional side of it, which also depends on a baby and milk supply and so many things. And then everyone has a different experience and different expectations of what their breastfeeding journey is going to be like. And so I think what advice could you give to someone that's feeling like in that struggle of, they're breastfeeding, but they're thinking about giving up or not sure if they want to carry on?
I think
What could you
really
tell?
it's got to be perfect for each family. It's got to be a different answer. And I
Yeah,
would just spend time really chatting with that family and trying to do their reflective listening skills and find out what is the concern. Sometimes many families will appear presenting with one issue, like, okay, we're going to a wedding and we need to get the baby to take a bottle or whatever it might be. But then
yeah.
you've got to just take time for them to speak, lots of reflective listening, helping them to dive a bit deeper and try and figure out what their concern really is. Shall I give you an example?
Yeah, yeah.
So I remember going to see one mother and she was talking about her twins. So she has twins. They've been going along for a while. I think maybe they were 6 weeks or 5 weeks old or something. She was doing okay. I said, I've hired you because I want to learn to feed both the twins at once. That sounds like a good plan. Let's do it. You've got the big cushion. We'll practice. And so I was just talking with her for a while before we started trying to feed the babies. And it came up in conversation that her partner is soon returning to work, and so she'd be alone with the twins. And I said, how do you feel about that? And then she just burst out crying and said, I'm just so scared because in the beginning, right in the early days, we thought they were doing really well and we thought their weight was tracking. But then we went to this one appointment and one of them had lost weight. So now I just don't have faith that I can feed them. And so she needed to basically cry and talk to me for about 10 minutes about how very alarming it had been to think it was all going well and then get them weighed and realize it wasn't. And once we talked about all of that and it had all come out, and I'd shared a little bit of information about how we know it's going well now and what we'll monitor to make sure of that, then she just could feed both twins at once. Fine.
Oh, that's perfect.
I didn't have to teach her how to do it. She had all the equipment. She knew what she was doing, but she just needed that leap of faith to give her confidence that she could manage.
It's such an important thing to have that support. And I remember that when I was feeding my first, it was so painful. But I was just reluctant to give up. I just really wanted to make it work.
Yeah.
I was quite stubborn, probably. But it was so painful. And then I remember one of the best advices I got was someone who told me, breastfeeding is not just about, it's a relationship.
Yes.
So it is, the way I was seeing it, it was just like a functional, I'm feeding my baby, but I wasn't seeing everything around it and how the way I felt was impacting how my baby could breastfeed. I think me being stressed and anxious and worried, it didn't help.
Do you think that was making it more difficult?
I think so.
Yeah. It's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, it's such a big emotional part of it. So about support groups, 'cause I know you I don't know if you still have your cafe.
Yeah, I still have my weekly breastfeeding cafe. It's a
Yes.
great way to keep in touch with my clients, and then lots of other people come as well who are not my clients.
Yeah. So for me it was a life saving. It was the first time I left the house was to go to a breastfeeding cafe,
Yes. Yeah.
and that's the only place I felt comfortable going for the first probably 2 months,
Yeah.
perhaps. But yeah, so tell me a little bit about that, though, kind of the importance of those phases.
Yes. I think the real key there is that basically in my breastfeeding cafe, it's about mothers supporting mothers and me gently facilitating a conversation. And
Mhm.
that's where the real learning comes. It's been an interesting learning curve. It's hard to do. You know, sometimes you do, and you have such a lovely atmosphere, and you think, oh, everybody got a chance to speak, and lots of mothers felt empowered by being able to share their experience with each other. And then
Mhm.
sometimes it just feels like the atmosphere was wrong, and it was a Q&A. I learn something every week when I do it. But
Yeah.
it's also really common, as you say, that mums come along and then they say, oh, I've actually never breastfed in public before, or
Yeah.
it's the first outing on my own, or it's the first time I've left the house with my baby. And they come to the breastfeeding cafe and just sit and chat with the other mums and share information. And I think there's rarely a point in breastfeeding where you say to yourself, oh, I've got it sussed, I'm an expert now, I know all about what I'm doing. They just
Yeah.
change and like,
Yeah.
okay, now the baby has teeth, or now the baby has a cold, or we're going
Yes.
on holiday, how are we going to manage this? It's always evolving. So
Yeah.
in that way, it's super helpful to speak to other parents. There's Mary. I can see my nanny friends. You know, I used to be a nanny in Kensington, and I can see them all tuned in, and Miriam saying, community is everything. It's so
Yes.
true.
Yeah.
But
Community is there. Absolutely. It's just being with someone that, in a space that people get you and you feel safe as well.
yeah.
And other people doing the same and the same journey.
Yeah, even
Um,
if you don't solve the problem, it's super reassuring to find out that somebody else
yeah.
has had exactly the same experience. Even if it's really going badly and you can just say, this is rubbish, I'm so disappointed. And someone can say, I know, I feel like that too. It's really, I thought this would be easy and it's tough.
Mhm.
Nobody
Yeah.
solved anybody's problems. They've just
Yeah,
like
exactly.
reassured you that it's common and they feel the same and they get where you're coming from, which is really valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. Because then there's the other thing that for instance, when we prepare, because I thought like when I prepared for birth, and I went to this breastfeeding chat where they explain us breastfeeding, but then it's like it's not really until you get your baby in your hands that you really get it.
Yeah,
No?
I feel very conflicted about antenatal breastfeeding
Okay.
information. Part of me is like, everybody should know this. If only I could impart this knowledge on pregnant people,
Mhm.
then they would solve themselves so many problems, which is true. But at the same time, I feel like maybe there's something in our brains when we're pregnant that we just can't quite learn
Get
about breastfeeding. And anybody can sit there with a knitted boob and say like, so just remember nose to nipple and then move the baby over and what's in a
yeah.
nappy or whatever. But I just don't know if we can take on board that information. Maybe we're programmed not to see beyond the birth. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah,
maybe,
I think so.
and then as soon as we've had the birth, we can't remember it and we think it was all great and rosy.
Yeah.
Must be something biological, I think.
But it's also, I think there's something about our own bodies that, um, the fact of expressing or thinking about expressing before I ever breastfed was
Okay.
like an impossible thought.
Mm,
And I think there's not that relationship with our bodies until you have the baby and you actually experience the baby feeding.
yeah. And we're often not really very familiar with our own breasts.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then you have to learn it and learn which bits feel different ways and what's new and
exactly.
what's changed. Yeah.
I had a midwife expressing colostrum in the hospital for me because I couldn't do it. I was like,
Yes.
I don't know how to do it.
But how was that though? Did it feel weird, or you're just grateful for her
You know, it
support?
was it was I was great. It was weird, but I was grateful because
Yeah.
I was desperate.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I was like getting one tiny drop every, I don't know, and it was hurting. So I wasn't doing it properly. And so I was desperate. If I hadn't been desperate, it would have been quite weird.
Well,
But at that
that is
point,
actually, yeah, that's something that I wish everybody knew during their pregnancy. And I do, like, I go regularly to Crystal Palace Osteopaths, to the yoga
mhm,
class there, to speak to the pregnant mums. And
mhm,
I try really hard not to like onboard loads of information into them. Like, I really feel
yeah.
evangelical. I'm like, I wish they knew this, this, and this, but I know that people can't hear it. So then I do share colostrum harvesting kits with
Yes.
information and a bit of advice and suggestions around that.
Mhm.
And just a few things like, you're welcome to come to my breastfeeding cafe when you're pregnant, even if it's just to reduce that kind of mental overwhelm. Sometimes one feels a bit, I don't know, something close to paranoid leaving the house with your
Yeah.
baby the first time. And if you've been to that location before and sat in that chair before and you know the face of the person who's going to be there, maybe it's easier to do. And just to
Yeah.
know, just so that people know what an IBCLC is and know that midwives don't always have the time or
Mhm.
expertise, and that if you find yourself coming home from hospital and unsure what to do, then where to find help.
Exactly. Yeah. And actually, now you said it, I think that that's a great thing to do probably in pregnancy, to actually go and see in a breastfeeding cafe women who are breastfeeding.
Yeah.
Is that theory with the knitted boob in the antenatal class? It's not
Yeah.
really, it's not
I
real.
know. It's not, and it's so I think it's important to do that. And all breastfeeding cafes always welcome pregnant mums, and they
Okay,
can
that's
just
good.
come
That's good
along
to
and
know.
chat. And the dads who are expecting, or any birth partners or supporters, you can always go to your local breastfeeding cafe and just at least then you know where you're going and you've got a friendly
Yeah.
face next time.
That's great advice actually for pregnant expectant moms.
Yeah.
Great. So finally, just to finish off, when do someone knows when to call someone like you, like yourself, for a one-to-one?
There's a massive range. The family I went to this morning contacted me when they were on the postnatal ward, and there
Okay.
was one last week like that as well. Last Tuesday, I did a consultation for a family, and the baby is 14 months old.
Oh,
So he
okay.
was chatting with me on Zoom, and we did a consultation.
That's
So
interesting. So just
there's a
very different challenges at that stage, no?
there's a huge range of normal, and people come
Okay.
to my breastfeeding cafe as well with toddlers. So there's a
Okay.
massive range. Yeah. It depends, obviously, like how much disposable income you've got. If you want to if it's not a problem for you to pay for it, then I'd say early days is good.
Mhm.
Because, can you hear that?
What is that?
It's a fire alarm or
Oh,
something on the horizon. Let's see if it's a test or if I actually get cut off.
I-
Oh.
oh, that was short.
Okay, I'm sorry, say something very important very quickly. No, I think I got away with it. What was I saying? I forgot.
Uh, oh yeah, so the support that you were giving to
Oh
different
yeah.
stages.
So basically there's anytime you can always contact your local lactation consultant. In the early days it's good because it's not uncommon that people don't and stop laughing at me at my
I'm
alarm.
loving, I'm loving it.
Very supportive, my friend. That some even small things like not knowing you don't have to keep waking the baby every 3 hours.
Yeah. Oh. I think it's worse for you. It's not that loud in the phone. At least
Okay,
not in
good, all right.
the recording. I think it's
Um,
better.
or things like some many families don't need to sterilize their breast pump and bottles, but lots of people don't know that, and sometimes I week them on week 8 and they've been sterilizing for 8 weeks, and I'm
I
like,
think I sterilized
actually,
for a year.
yeah, most families don't need to do that. Of course it depends on your situation, but generally not.
Okay.
Or being terrified of sleeping with your baby and not realizing that the latest
Yeah.
research shows us that can be done fairly safely.
I think
So
it's probably 3 times.
is that my good luck?
I was
So
expecting it at 4 times.
yeah, so in my opinion, of course, I would say earlier is better, but I support a big range of families through all sorts of
Okay.
problems. I support people to stop breastfeeding. I support
Ah,
people
yes,
to
you know,
move away
see.
from breastfeeding.
Okay.
If they want to
Yeah.
introduce formula, or if they want to share the load. I supported a mother who, for her own health reasons, wanted to breastfeed in the day and not at night. And we made a
Yeah.
plan to make that work. Whatever
Okay.
suits you.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Great to know that there's like a broad, a wide range of support. Like I didn't know this. I thought it was just like the early days of, yeah, getting to breastfeed your baby.
No, there's
But
never a moment when you feel like you've got it all licked and you've mastered
no,
everything.
no, absolutely, absolutely. Great. Well, and then finally, where can people find you?
So my company is called babythrive.com, and I've got a YouTube channel which my son made for me. He constantly takes the mickey out of me because I've got 12 subscribers. And you know what 10-year-old boys are like with YouTube.
There's always a thought. That's good.
It's a start.
You
I
have
think
to
it's more, it's
yes,
because
that's great.
whenever I visit with people, I always want to make sure that after I leave, they can still manage what we talked about. So I always share them little links and films from Instagram and YouTube. So they've got little tutorials about what we learned and what worked when we were together, and we always keep in touch.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got my website, babythrive.com, and then I've got the social media, and I've got my breastfeeding cafe is in Crystal Palace on Tuesday afternoon. So you can contact me for that information as well.
Great. I will pop the links in the comments.
Amazing.
And I will keep this on the grid. So if you can share with anyone that might be interested. And
yeah, excellent.
Great. And thank you for joining me today.
Hey, thanks, Jazmin. I'm honoured to be the first.
Thank you. Thank you. You're starting the Mothering and Matrescence Monday series. So that's good. Thank you very much, Sally. Thank you for your help. And I'll speak to you later.
Amazing. Thanks, Jazmin. Bye, bye, bye.
Bye. All right. So that was Sally Ricard. She's a breastfeeding lactation consultant. So this is the first of a series of Mondays that I'm going to invite different guests to join me to talk about the challenges of becoming a mother and all the different aspects that we may experience change and difficulties with. So today was about breastfeeding, and then next week we got a slightly very different topic. We'll be talking about birth trauma. So it's quite a delicate topic, and I've got a great guest that I will share with you this week. So you can come and chat to us next Monday at 12:30 for the next Monday of Matrescence and Mothering. Thank you for joining us, and see you later.